Welcome to Sabi'S first roundtable event. My name is Oyinola. I'm your host. Sabi'S hosting its first roundtable to discuss women in tech and also to talk about their experiences, their inspiration, and also give advice to the next generation of women coming behind. And while we discuss this, we're looking at viewpoints relating to gender equality, breaking bias in the workplace, and also women in tech. This year's theme is about strengthening women who transform the way we do business in Africa. As we celebrate Women's History Month, we would like to hear from all of our guests, the female role models they have, and then why they have those role models. I'd like to start with you, Sarah.
Okay, sure. So for me, I'm really inspired by Black women who are the first to do something. And obviously, this International Women's Month is very special because Ketanji Brown Jackson has been nominated to the Supreme Court. And as we know, her hearing has been a bit traumatic to watch as a Black woman. You know, she's been asked a lot of irrelevant questions, but through it all, she's stayed strong and she's been a queen. And I really look forward to celebrating with her next month, fingers crossed, when she gets confirmed. So definitely, that's my role model.
Thank you. What about you?
I would say that I definitely look to women around me. Sarah, Hilda, you. I would say that definitely every woman that one comes across and they have great conversations with, and you know, there's that vibe and there's that camaraderie, sisterhood. I'm inspired by everyone that I meet. You know, great women.
Or people that you grew up with.
Well, obviously, my mother standard. She's an amazing woman. Yeah. But again, the women the company that she has kept, that I've seen her with, the friends that I have gathered along the way into adulthood, very, very strong, respectable, decent women. So definitely the company you keep as well.
Thank you for that. How about you, Ida?
Mine are wild cards. I would say Rihanna and maybe and Cardi B. But here's why. No, seriously, like for me, I believe already being a woman, especially a Black woman, you are like being held back, right?
Yes.
And most of us go through traumatic situations. I think for me, one of the things that stands out brightly for me is Rihanna's incident with Chris Brown in 2013. Yeah. Any woman could have been broken by that. It's possible we'll never have heard from Rihanna again. She could, like, it was public, right? But instead, she went back, regrouped, figured out what she wanted to do, and now she's a billionaire. Yeah. She has an empire in fashion, in beauty, in music. She's pregnant, about to have a baby. She's honestly living her best life, and she overcame that trauma to do it. And very many Black women have to go through that thought process. So when I look at her, I'm like, you know what? You're the woman.
You think I like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Ayomide, so what do you think?
Okay, so for me, it's being Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. I'm inspired by strong women, especially when you're able to stand your ground, so much candor in the midst of like chaos. You know, she's in a male-dominated industry. She's currently the Director General of the World Trade Organization. It takes a lot of grit, a lot of confidence in what you do. You need to know your onions to hold such an office. She has shown us that women can do this. You have what it takes. So just go out there, and that is my second role model after my mother. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Adeola, what do you think?
Okay, for me, in addition to my mom, who was a role model to me, I would say Harriet Tubman. I read a book. I also watched some films about her, and I feel she's a symbol of bravery and confidence. In today's world, women will just suck in. I'm in slavery, I accept it, and I'm not leaving. But she decided to free herself. And not just freeing herself, she came back to free so many other people, several other slaves in several batches. So it means she's not giving up. So that's the kind of woman I feel should be a role model. You don't give up, despite the fact of where you are, down there, where you've been stripped of all of your human rights, but then you still feel like, I need to get up. And so I reckon with her.
Yeah. I think that's really good. For me, I think would be probably Oprah. It's for like how she, I think in her book, she said something about not just empowering herself to make, the world that she has now, but it's also ensuring that people that she works with everyone that she works with is not left behind. And I think that if we take that to like our workplace and what we do, it's ensuring that even though I'm at the top of my game and I'm doing very well, but the people that work for me are also moving at the pace I'm also moving, which is very, very important. I think that's good. In your view, what do you think like the modern woman, like what is that about? Like how has she evolved? How has she changing the way the business is done in Africa?
So for me, the one modern woman, she has it all and she does it all. It's not like in the days like when my mum was coming up, you either did one or the other, right? You're either working, and a lot of her friends that ended up having careers couldn't do both. And I think now the modern woman is able to have it all. You know, she can have the great career, she can have the family life, she can have the boss status, you know, and she doesn't have to pick one or the other. And I love that for us.
I would say that when it comes to women in the workplace, especially now, one thing that we have going for us is, I don't know, everyone's heard this quote, when you educate a woman, you educate a generation. Yes. Modern women in the workplace have that opportunity to nurture talent, nurture industries, nurture products, you know, really watch something go from an idea to a concept and nurture that. And I feel like we have that natural nurturing ability, and yeah, it's something that I feel that we definitely have the space to do.
I think that's really good. For me, I think the modern day woman asks questions, challenges authority, will tell you, I don't want to do it this way, I want to do it this way, I see it this way, and I think it should be done this way as well, or it could be done this way as well. And they stand up for what they believe in, and they stand up for other people as well. What initiatives and resources are required for women to succeed in Africa these days? Hilda, I'd like to start with you.
I think for me, anything that would change the mindsets of community is a good resource and a good initiative to drive, because women are the largest multitaskers, but for some reason society has decided we can't do more than one thing. Oh, don't go to work because you won't be cooking. Oh, don't go to the gym because you won't take care of your children. All these don't. And yet, on a day-to-day basis, we're expected to multitask, and we do. So I think the first thing is empowerment. The second thing is fixing the fabric of society that keeps women home. Good healthcare. You know, if I'm concerned about my child at home, that's going to be an issue. You know, training for support staff, all these things that are taken for granted in other places. You can go drop a 6-month-old at creche, they'll be fine. We don't have that here yet. And that keeps women out of the workforce. So I think the biggest gap for me is that whole empowerment piece that would free women to go out of their homes to do good work with peace of mind.
I think for me, look, coming from the UK, where I've spent most of my life, the UK has a representation problem. So people struggle to see people that look like them in the high positions. Nigeria, Africa, we don't have a representation problem. We have people like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. We have women who lead all functions. Our Minister of Finance is a woman. You know, we have a problem of mentorship where you have these women in these positions, but there's nobody kind of helping these early career women, mid-career women. How do I get there? The pathway, illuminating the path, right? I think mentorship is so important for me. I've had some amazing mentors along the way who kind of just help you to see the picture a little bit differently. I think the women who have made it really need to reach back and pay it forward.
One thing that I feel like we're missing in Nigeria, Africa in general, is infrastructure. Now, if we're working from the bottom up, so helping those who might not have access to certain things, helping them catch up, I feel like that can easily bridge, not even aside gender gap, like bridge the income gap. So yes, I believe those sorts of things can help the best way it can.
Also, I wanted to ask about like maybe policies that you would like to introduce, like if you were in, you know, I mean, Sarah is in a big top position, Hilda is doing so well. I mean, Adeola, everyone is like in popping roles. And I'm thinking, what policies would you introduce to support women in workplace?
So I think for me, the introduction of increased remote working and hybrid working as part of COVID has really helped women a lot, because what it means is that in most forward-thinking organizations like at Verify Me, for example, we mainly work remotely. We do some hybrid work, but there's no, you must be in the office on this day. And that enables women, when they're going through certain personal things that happen to women, they don't have to call in sick. We've still got a way to go. And in terms of policies, I think could help more. Things like IVF leave, things like, you know, bereavement leave for people that have miscarriages and things like that. I think Nigeria's got a long way to go to get there, but I think definitely we're on the path, and remote working helps a lot with that.
I grew up in a country with affirmative action for women, and it was deep in the sense that, for example, the university points entering system, if myself and a male had 20 points and it was the cutoff for medical school, the woman would get an automatic 1.5 more points and be the one to get the admission. That's how deep it was, but I saw the impact. I saw lots of young Ugandan women get into the workforce, get jobs, like really just to equalize. We're not talking about overtaking, equalize, because we really left behind. So because of that, I'm a huge fan of soft quotas in workplaces. I love it when I see an organization say, guys, no, in this team, there's 9 men and 1 woman. For the next few roles we're hiring, can you be deliberate about bringing women into this place? I know it's an awkward conversation to have, like, oh, they can't find the talent, we look find the best people. Guys, there are best women out there. But if you don't put the effort to find them in, you won't. And if it's not mandated, if it's not a deliberate policy, nobody's going to do it, because people always go for the easiest thing to close. If you have 9 male candidates and 1 female one, it's easy to say, let's go with the males. But the women are there as well. Be deliberate about finding them. I think that's one of the things that will make a huge change, because you find organizations that are like 60, 70, 80% male. I'm like, what's going on? Without that deliberate soft quota almost like thing, I don't think we'll get there. So I'm a huge fan of that as one thing that can support women.
I would also say that we ensure that projects are balanced, equal opportunity to lead projects in different units in the organization. So probably I'm in tech right now, and then in the last 1 month, a guy has led the project. If we have new projects, there should be a policy that states that the last project was a man, the next project should be a woman. So I think with that, it will balance it, and then we will all have the opportunity to perform.
Yeah, I'd like to add one more thing. I mean, in relation to everything everybody has said, there's one thing that organizations do, some organizations, I don't know, but like when women go on leave, like childbearing leave, and they come back and you demote them.
Oh my goodness.
Like, I want like to be a policy that says you're not allowed to do that.
Does that happen?
You don't, yeah, people do it. It happens. Like, you go on leave and then you come back and then they're like, oh, you might probably be too stressed because you can't work extra hours and stuff. And then, yeah, they reduce, like, you know, remove you from like your top position and then reduce to something lesser or something. Or you come back and be like an associate, or you used to be head of the team. You come back and you're just like below where you used to be before. And I think, nah, I don't see me being head in a team before and then I'm coming back and being assistant or associate to someone else. I don't want. An associate is just, I feel like it's just second name to, like, you know, you're assisting the other person, which I don't really agree with. So I feel like, yeah, I mean, there should be a policy against that. So if I come back, I'm allowed to keep my role and then, you know, even get promoted, because I want to have a baby. I'm the only one that can do that. A guy can't do that. So I think, yeah. So women are underrepresented in leadership roles, and what can be done to bridge this gap? I'll start with Adeola on this.
Oh, you come to me right now. Okay, so underrepresentation, I think, is not general, in the sense that in churches, women are not underrepresented. We're about 80% of the participants in church. Yes, maybe in the mosque, underrepresented. In politics, underrepresented. So I then believe that it's supposed to be a conscious effort.
Yes.
I'm even having a thought, and I'm thinking that regarding women, especially Nigerian women, I don't think we have a problem in occupying spaces. Hang on, I'm getting somewhere. I don't think we have a problem in leadership roles, in the sense that we are natural leaders as women. From school, there's always that girl in the school that's running things. There's always, you know, the smartest girl in the class. Women tend to thrive in the spaces that they're in. I personally think so. However, when it now comes to that opportunity to lead, so opportunity to possibly be put forth before another man, I would say, like, let's start from ourselves and work within our own environments. What can we do to help? If you're a woman in a leadership role, what can you do to nurture someone, a woman like you, a small person like you, nurture them and build them up within that space, you know?
So I have a different view. I know you mentioned there's lots of women in church, but how many of them are leaders? The pastors, most of them are men.
I'm in a church where women are leaders.
Okay, maybe that's church. One, but if you think of the Nigerian pastors that we see all around the world, the GOs, they're all men. And they have a wife, but she's not really out there in the same
but she's
way.
The neck. She's actually carrying the weight.
Well, maybe. But I would say for me, it's all about succession planning. So having a pipeline of women who can. And let's say, for example, you don't have enough female management levels, you don't have at the management level, you don't have enough females at the director level, how will you then have enough females at the executive level? So you almost have to have those women kind of working through the ranks, you know, and it's a hiring decision at every level. So affirmative action, we may not call it that, but I'm very conscious when I'm hiring to know, okay, what's the balance of this team? This team is very male heavy. How can we break it up a little bit? Because I believe in diversity of thought. In a sense of, in England, it's about diversity of color, you know, backgrounds, culture. In Nigeria, we don't really have some of the problems that come with that, but we have the problem where if you don't have a woman in the room, certain angles will not be considered. You know, so it's important at every stage of hiring, and then ensuring that when you get these women in at these different levels, you're mentoring them, you're guiding them, you're coaching them, so that as they come up, they're learning the skills and the capabilities that will enable them to be female leaders tomorrow. If you don't have anybody in the pipeline, you will never have more
Anybody
female
on
leaders.
top level.
So for me, two things. One, if you look at statistics, right, at entry level, men, women, 50-50, maybe 45-55, but the difference is not that great. But leadership, that's where it really varies. We lose a lot of women who drop out of the workforce when they begin to have families, and we don't have to. Just my own experience, when I had my first child, I quit my job not because my employer was bad, but it just wasn't working out anymore for me, for them. I wanted to leave in a good way, so I was like, you know what, let me just figure myself out. And by the way, by the time I left, I didn't have another job, and I wasn't planning to find another job. I was just thinking, I need to figure this stuff out. Many women never come back to the workplace, and if they're right there, they can be productive, but it's easier to go for the next meal. It's a difficult thing to do, but I think even when they want to come back right now, oh, why do you have a 5-year gap on your CV? That should not be a thing. I was raised, I was having babies. That should be a good answer for it. That's the first thing. Second thing is something around sponsorship. Even for women in the workplace, when it gets to manager level, let's not pretend every workplace has politics. It can be dirty politics or clean politics, but there is organizational politics. You need to have sponsors, men and women who are holding hands and saying, come, mentorship is great, but a sponsor takes you on and says, come, let me put you on this project. You have XYZ exposure and it can lead you to Y. What are your plans? Where do you want to get to? Have those conversations. Men have these conversations formally and informally, and especially men in the organization. With women, it's not happening as much. And also because maybe we're not that forward to say, hey, I want to be the MD in 3 years. How do I get there? The third thing, sorry, I know I'm speaking too much, is women have to be more transparent with ourselves, right? You want to be a leader. You've got a friend who's there now. How did you get there? How much money are you making? Do you feel satisfied? How do you run your home? Is your husband happy? All those tough questions that you die with in your head, thinking they're holding you back, you can't do this job. Guess what? People around you have cracked them. But we don't have those conversations with each other, and it hurts us.
And can I just say one thing on sponsorship and return to work programs? Such a big deal in the West. They have so many return to work programs. When I worked at Morgan Stanley, we had a big program that looks for women who had these gaps in their CVs and brought them back. And there's nothing stopping us from doing that in Nigeria. Nobody knows about sponsorship here. You're the first person I've heard speak about it. I'm a fan of Carla Harris. She loves sponsorship. And if you start talking about it, people are like, what's that? What's a sponsor? What's the difference between a sponsor and a mentor? So there's definitely an education piece around that as well.
You know what's weird? Sorry to cut you off. I saw this publication from The Guardian, and they released the CEOs in Nigeria that contributed to Nigeria's GDP. There are only 2 women there. Yeah, only 2 women. Just something to think about. So yeah.
What do you think, Ayomide?
Okay, so for me, I think positive discrimination is not something that we should debate, because we are where we are. If there was nothing to contend, this will not be a topic. So yeah, it is good. I'm up for it because it helps us, take, I don't want to be biblical here, but like the years that the locust and the cankerworm has taken from women, really, in the workplace, because we need that. We need it. It's sad that as much as we say we are civilized, we are getting there, this is still, it is still happening. So yes, affirmative action, yes, women should do it. Yes, women should make the quotas higher. Because what you said earlier, your policy earlier, we're not seeing the impact. So please revise, review.
I also think that
improve.
you're talking more like in line with like positive action,
Yes.
as opposed to, because
Yes.
I would see that positive discrimination is like unlawful aspect. It's just like how people would maybe reduce a quota because they want to hire a particular group of people. They say, oh, we're only hiring men because, it's a night job and this. But and we also have laws that.
But that should be my choice and
Yeah,
not you mandating that.
Yeah, because most people don't really talk about it. Like, don't really talk about how certain things are marginalized against women. Though they do it like, oh, we're trying to protect your interest and we're looking out for you and stuff. But you're not, because I have a right to say, I want to do this or I don't want to do this. But then they decide for you. They tell you this is what I think you need in a way that feels like it's less or it's like imposing. So you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I agree with them. But like, I want to do something because I want to do it, not because you tell me that it's okay to do it. Yeah.
So for me, one of the strangest experiences I had when I used to work in Abuja, I recall coming into the office with a couple of colleagues, and it was discrimination. It was unconscious bias for two reasons. So these colleagues were foreign. Some people see me as a foreigner, but I'm black, right? So when they see me without me opening my mouth, they'll think I'm a Nigerian. And one was English, I think one was Indian. We were driving into the compound to work, and they used to check our temperature, COVID. They'll check our temperature, make sure we've not got fever. We're coming, and every morning we'll come in. So the English gentleman, he's much older, maybe in his 50s. The Indian gentleman was actually younger than me. But we did the same job, and I actually had a bigger portfolio than him. So we're coming in. Every morning they do good morning, sir, to the English guy. Good morning, sir, to the English, and to the Indian gentleman. They'll come to me, good morning. And it continued like this for a while. At one point, I had to change it for them. I was just like, wait, hold on. What warrants a sir for them and nothing for me? Because if you're going to call them sir, you're going to call me ma too. And I'll be honest with you, I don't like this sir ma thing whatsoever. My preference is just call everyone their name. But it's the principle. Why are they a sir and I'm not? And for me, I really, it's the equity over equality thing, but in certain things we have to be equal. There has to be a reason. It can't just be patriarchy and misogyny is the reason why you're calling them sir, or racism, whatever. I'm not going to accept it. So for me, that was a challenging, and everyone apologized. Even the leadership agreed with me that it was unacceptable, it's wrong. And I think what really helped me is that a lot of the leaders in my team then were English as well. So they knew it was unacceptable. I didn't have to explain to them why it was wrong. Because when you get into office and they're like, and so, which is what you might get with a Nigerian boss sometimes, it can be awkward. But they stood with me, they said, yeah, that's not acceptable. And the security guys apologized and they changed their approach, So it's having that support, maybe from people who've been raised to understand that actually women deserve respect too. And in a country like Nigeria, people don't necessarily always believe that women deserve respect too.
So in tech, one of the things that I'm very excited about is what the decade 2020, post-COVID till 2032 is going to bring, because disintermediation has happened. Guess what? Of all the industries under the sun, the one job you can do in your house is tech-based. And as you said, with access to information, I honestly believe that we're going to see a huge ballooning of women in tech. You want to be a product manager, you can learn from your laptop on YouTube and work on Upwork. You can get a portfolio, you can earn $10,000 a month without even leaving your house. You're talking about flexibility, you don't want to leave your baby, etc. Tech is the one place that can be done. The missing piece is access. I always say it's three things, right? There's, you need the right training, which you can now get for free. Read Twitter threads, go on YouTube and watch people. You can get that almost for free. Coursera, yes, but that's even pricey. Udemy, $15, right? Access, that's the missing piece. How do you create opportunities? The last piece is, jobs, but now with tech, jobs are global.
What's really, to piggyback off what you're saying, what's actually crazy about those unlocking those new levels?
Yeah.
Once you start to unlock those new levels,
You see
like
that
your
it's
mind,
it
like
changes your mind.
Yeah.
Like, what have I been doing?
Exactly. Like all along, this level exists.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say for me, the biggest thing for the next generation is to be audacious. You have to be audacious. Jump in their DM, connect with them. If they don't answer you, at them on Twitter. But my boss will come and tell me, please, see this guy's CV. He's been disturbing me since. Let's just talk to him. Let's interview him. Be audacious. You don't know, by the time you've sent them the 10th message or you commented on their 10th post, trust me, they will notice you. For me, for my younger self, and for anybody coming up, I would say it doesn't matter. Whatever you think is your limitation, whatever you think is that thing that won't let you get to where you want to get to, it doesn't matter. you know, what you think you need to stay in a company to achieve before you can then move on to your destiny, it doesn't matter. Do it anyway. It really doesn't matter.
I would say if you're in the early stage of your career, especially, find a group of older females, maybe some males, who can tell you these things. Because when you're at that age, it really is the be-all, end-all. It's very hard to jump out of that space. And the early stages of your career are very precarious. I feel like you go and maybe at the 5-6 year point, you're like, okay, now I'm made. No matter what happens, I can land. But those early years, there's small things that can throw you off the radar completely. It could be like a random workplace relationship. Maybe you don't even want it, you end up in it, but you don't have the right counsel to say, this is abuse, talk to somebody. It could be you jump jobs too early and get into a really bad paying job, a terrible situation. You don't have to counsel you out of it. It could be there's a huge opportunity that you're currently missing because you don't see how big it is, but somebody around you could. So surround yourself with a group. It should be a tight-knit group of people who you trust and can speak transparently to about your career and what's going into your life. It's very easy to think, yes, I know it all, or to think, oh my God, I have no options. But everything you're going through, as you've mentioned, people have hacked this thing before. Just have the right conversations with the right people.
To my younger self, maybe much younger self, I would have asked more questions, especially with my parents. You know, maybe I'm talking too much of home, but I think what most of us become eventually just started from the home.
So for me, and there's a very funny story or a tweet I saw relating to what Adeola just said. So a guy is telling us the story of his little toddler who says, oh, he's been saying, you'll be an astronaut, you'll be an astronaut. And the boy says, I don't want to be an astronaut too. A mechanic came to my school for like career day, and I now want to be a mechanic. And the man goes, you cannot be a mechanic. No, he says, you cannot be a mechanic. There are no mechanics in our family. And the boy says, are there any astronauts in our family? Like, why do you want to stress me? And I asked myself, could I have asked that question to my parents? Could I have had that conversation? I think I would tell my younger self to be very assertive. Know what you don't want. You may not know what you want to, but you know for sure what you don't want. Don't take anything. So that's it for me.
Well, for me, I think to my younger self, I would say be patient, but don't settle. And know your worth. And then add taxes to it. I don't know. Then take whatever you can get from any job. It doesn't have to be. I remember like my previous job, I had given like everything because I thought my boss was going to be a senator. It was going to be like a good opportunity for me to level up, and then it didn't work out. But then I stayed, feeling bad about that for a while. But then I realized I took something from the work that I did here. I have experience, and I can use that somewhere else. So it's very important that the fact that it doesn't work out somewhere, the fact that you put in all the work and it doesn't work out doesn't mean it's the end of the. You can find your ground. You will always find your ground no matter what. So if you're sure about what you want, you can do the job. Don't be afraid to try that thing. So always look to growing and always improving yourself. I think that's one thing I'll tell my younger self. Thank you very much for everybody. I mean, we had like a WhatsApp session. It's nice to get to know everybody.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so very much.
Sabi.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sabi.
Thank you, Sabi. Yes. Thank you, Sabi.